3AW footy highlights for McDonald's.
Fantasia on the runway now, just beyond the 50, looks okay, and it gets there.
Play's gone on, advantage paid, goal to the Bombers, and Bagley just pounced on it.
The handball to Clark, he straightens up, kicks, and he's goal. He's got it. Donald will just wander into goal, and he kicks another one. So a couple of goals on the bounce for North Melbourne.
Essendon have the nose in front, three-quarter time, all thanks to McDonald's. 3RW football, 15,898 to North Melbourne, 13,886 at ground level. For master builders, make sure your builder's a master builder. An update, please, Michael.
No injuries in this game so far, Time, but as you picked up in the call, the fatigue really kicked in late in that quarter after the heaviest scoring half of football in over a decade. And if the Bombers were to prevail today, they'd be the fourth top 8 team to lose North Melbourne this round, joining West Coast, Geelong and Sydney. So in the most even season we can remember in years, this could be yet another upset.
Yeah, and which makes it so vital the last quarter. For Corrimal Windsor Caravans, the stats that matter. Don't forget, you can get a $3,000 EPOS card with all stock fans purchased from Corrimal Windsor.
Set up beautifully, Tone. Leading disposal winners on the ground. Zach Merritt's had 25 with Heppel 24 for the Bombers. And Sean Higgins, the man, leading the way with 23 touches. And Ahern's had 19 disposals, which is fantastic for the young man.
Who's best to feel for Rain and Horn before we start the last quarter?
Merritt, Fantasia.
I like Fantasia's 4 goals and 15 touches. If he adds one more, I'll give it to him.
So for Collins House, the best independent financial advice, bring you the last quarter. Essendon will start it leading by 12 points, 98 to 86. Middle of the ground from the ball up. It moved about 5 metres. Secondary ball up. Bell Chambers, the tap. At the back that time, McKenna for Essendon. High kick inside attacking 50. Ball falls a little short on its trajectory. It's centre half forward for the Bombers. Stack of players in there, and Camwy will get the stoppage cleared very, very quickly. Essendon going to the Southern or platform 28 end.
So ball up, here's Heppel. He got a little handball away. Murphy couldn't take it cleanly for the Kangaroos. Just shoving the back, and that's Scott Thompson in the bottom of all that. Gets up and wins his free kick.
Get it moving, Scotty.
Yeah.
So Merritt not happy with the decision. Goes out to Marley Williams, who takes it still inside defensive 50s. He looks to the city side wing and then maybe thinks better of it. No, that's where he's going to go. He goes in that direction. Anderson will be the target. He'll end up with it at ground level. Didn't jump at it, but he's coughed it up. He's given it straight to Collier, to Hurley. To Collier again. Kick partially smothered. Zeeble couldn't take it cleanly. Collier involved again. Merritt through congestion. Heppel, McDonald, Tipperwoody, a real grabber kick inside the 50. Marley Williams got it covered. Straight back to McDonald, Tipperwoody. He's been tackled. He got the handball out to Heppel, now to Collier, now to Langford. Back to Collier again. He's had a lot of it early. It's a high ball. It's going to be McKernan to fly. Door with the spoil. Waiting down there. The goal to McGrath. Doing the roving work quickly onto the boot. And that's a pancake parlour goal of the day.
Lovely. Couple of strange handball decisions from North Melbourne. Twice they won the footy back and should have been able to clear twice from Anderson out on the wing. I don't know and where
Marley Williams as well.
I don't know who Anderson was handballing it to. That gave Essendon a chance to go forward. Then Williams wins it back deep in defence and just handballed it 25 metres straight back to Tip and Woody. Kept it alive in the Essendon forward line, and they've paid the price.
Around the grounds for Europe Car, affordable truck, van and car rental. Fremantle out to a 24-point margin and Fife in some distress over in Brisbane out to a 24-point lead. Fife in some distress as North Melbourne go forward. Off the pack, half forward, read neatly by Anderson. Long kick, vacant goal square. D of Essendon gets back and completes the mark. Collins House scoreboard 104 Essendon, 86 North Melbourne, as McGrath, who's working brilliantly both ends of the ground, from the back pocket to half-back, delivered a little low scything ball, and Mitch Brown of the Bombers takes the mark.
He does it half-back. He looks to this wing, this medallion club side wing, and that's where he is going to go. McKernan is there, and it's going to be a mark to McMillan. He was the only man flying in the finish. So McMillan has it for North Melbourne. Margin 18 in favour of the Bombers. Early going final quarter from Etihad Stadium. Kick to half forward for North Melbourne. Ambrose couldn't quite complete the mark, but gave it away to Saad, and it's all go, go, go for Saad. One bounce and a second bounce and a third bounce. He takes on the world. A fourth bounce, a fifth bounce. He's running on the outer side. A sixth bounce now. He kicks it to half forward for Langford. It's a wide ball. Langford is able to trap it. He straightens up now, Langford. He steps inside the 50. McKernan is there. McMillan on the goal line is able to rush it through. But what about the run from Saad? He set Etihad Stadium alight.
He's got to have had the most bounces in the comp this year. He's a machine on the run, isn't he?
That was fabulous. 19 points is Essendon's lead. All for Collins House. North Melbourne goes straight up the middle, holding the ball. They're going to go against Cunnington, or illegal or improper disposal.
Crucial tackle, because if that wasn't a free kick, that was a North Melbourne goal. They had players free forward of the footy.
And the bloke who I think's best to field at the moment, McGrath, applies the tackle, wins the free, just forward of the centre for the Bombers. Collins House, Dominic Alfaci and his team there. Self-managed super fund experts is collinshouse.com. Bring you the final quarter. McGrath long to fall forward. Ball knocked away by Goldstein, close to the boundary line. Murphy, North Melbourne trying to get there. Williams taken out of bounds, but Essendon have it at the right end of the ground. We are 5 minutes into the final quarter. Essendon 105, North Melbourne 86. Repeating the score from Perth, it is the Lions 36, the Dockers 17.
So a boundary throw in here, about 35 metres around from Essendon's goal. In it comes, Goldstein wins it down. Dumont is able to clear it for North Melbourne. Siebel able to gather it in. There's nothing at home for the Kangaroos. Who's going to get to it? Running helter-skelter was Atley. And
shocking
he just slipped it behind. It was a poor bounce for him as Duke collaborates with Hurley and out of Collier.
Couldn't have been a worse bounce for him.
And Collier goes to the outer side for Dyson Heppel, and Heppel takes the mark on the City side wing.
Yeah, Heppel's got the ball. 6 minutes gone, final quarter. Collins House scoreboard, Essendon 105, North Melbourne 86, long to half forward, no being held up. And Scott Thompson has taken the mark, and I know he's a favourite, but he's had a pretty fair afternoon this afternoon. Goes short to Turner outside defensive 50 for North Melbourne. He has the football as Turner just a little 20-metre puck. McMillan's been able to ghost forward, take the mark, but a quarter ago, Cam, he's got someone running alongside for the quick handball, and now he's able to go 25 up the ground. Cunnington's got it. He turns around, plays on quickly. The pass is a beauty. Ben Brown's got it.
See, you know what he does? He just plays on straight away. It's just something that you must do.
Backs his decision-making while he's moving. Gee, that was good ball use from North Melbourne. You're right, Tone. Would have loved someone flashing past through the middle of the ground for a handball received, but they didn't panic, just kept going with the good kick mark down the ground. And then, as Richo said, Ben Cunnington just made something happen. He trusted his forwards would be leading, and even if they weren't, he could make another decision as he was moving along. Great play.
Must kick.
So it is a must keep to keep North Melbourne alive. Ben Brown, he'll kick from 35. He always keeps it low, punches through it. The routine might be lengthy, but his accuracy not in question. And he has his second goal. North Melbourne 14-8-92, trailing Essendon 16-9-105. Collins House scoreboard, collinshouse.com for the best independent financial advice. 7 minutes into the final quarter here. Big news, though, out in Perth. The Lions leading by 19 points. 7 minutes remaining to half-time. And Nat Fyfe, with what looks to be a hamstring injury, is off at the moment for the Dockers. Earlier today, in this fabulous afternoon of football, St Kilda defeating Melbourne by 2 points.
The margin here is 13. Still plenty to be played out here at Etihad Stadium. We're back in the middle. Goldstein and Bell Chambers go at it. Both had a piece. Picked up by Higgins. Tackled well by Heppel. Ahern, he was tackled by Langford, and the umpire will have it out there on the wing.
Higgins has been well controlled since quarter time. Only had 11 touches since quarter time.
Ooh, that's a good tackle. Should have been paid.
Just inside the centre square, pushing toward the wing. Ball up. Langford working in a phone box, got the handball out. Devon Smith wanted to go with a handball, but decided to change direction and go to Goddard. Out on the City side. Guelphy has it now for the Bombers. Now to Myers. Got around McMillan with ease. Myers now thumps it inside the 50. Wright gets back for North Melbourne. There's no mark. Tarrant was able to flick the handball up. and the umpire will have it. It's 45 metres out from Essendon's goal. The margin 13 in favour of the Bombers.
Yep, Collins House scoreboard 105-92 Bombers way, and the Bombers have got it at the right end of the ground. Well, what happened in the last quarter, Richo, doesn't matter. This has been a fabulous game.
Terrific game. Plenty of goals, drama, end-to-end stuff. Loved it today, Tone.
So from the stoppage, clearance North Melbourne, Simpkin, high toward the wing, 6 players there. Spills to the side, Guelphy, handball hoping for Hurley, bounces away from him. Finally got a kick in as it's floating towards the boundary line. It'll be out on the full free kick at halfback North Melbourne, right to take it.
The more you look at the Ben Jacobs late withdrawal again, Merritt's had 11 clearances. I would say he would have had 5 at best if Jacobs plays.
Right along the city side, halfback to the wing, back of the pack. Who can get there? Attlee does a little smash forward, one about 20 metres. Langford, though, halfback Essendon delivers a lovely pass. Myers in the middle of the ground's got it for the Bombers. Wants to sweep to the dockside and finds a man.
He does, and it's Bill Chambers. Takes it pretty much through centre halfback. Gives it to Sard. Sard just engineers the kick to Collier, who's got it on the defensive side of the wing. So Collier stops dead, and now given the hurry up by the umpire. Goes now Collier. Kept it low. That was an odd kick. Not marked that time by Tarrant. Luckily, McKernan got there to make a spoil. It's out. We're going to have a throw in.
Mick Warner, please, for Morris Blackburn Lawyers. Injury update.
Yeah, no injuries, but as you can tell from your commentary, the pace has gone right out of the game. It's just about fatigue now for these players.
Yeah, who can hold on the better, Richo? Do you still think the Bombers 13 points will?
Well, North have got to kick 3 goals to none, so I think Essendon win now.
So Smith is tackled from the kick and balls.
I'll give that to you, Tone.
Well, no. Look, North
Look,
Melbourne.
it's still in the balance, but look, they're a strong favourite, obviously.
So, ground level win, North Melbourne. Ahern, McMillan, always consistent. Anderson tries to knock it forward as the ball comes out of bounds. Yeah, back to you, Mick. Even when just watching from here, they totally look spent, all teams, when they come to the bench.
A lot of players cramping up. Cunnington came back off to get that finger he dislocated patched up again, but he's back out there.
Ball thrown back in here on the wing. Myers able to take it and just bash it onto the boot. Kicks the half forward. McKernan the target door, the spoil. Waiting down McDonald, Tip and Woody. Ripped out of the door, tackle. Got the little kick away. Chance here for Mitch Brown. Handball to McKernan. McKernan goes with a beautiful kick. Have a look at that. He's kicked it. Arms out saying, how good am I? Sean McKernan, what a day he has had. He's kicked 4 big ones. And that was just about his best.
He just put that up in the slipstream there. I'm not 100% sure he was going for the goal.
Richo, we saw before when he had time to think earlier, he made a meal of it. When he doesn't think and just plays on instinct, he does some amazing things.
He's been good, hasn't he?
Oh, that is some pancake parlour goal of the day.
Jeez, he can roost it, can't he?
19 points the margin. That's what happens when people think you're from Balranald. I've got no idea where that came from. So 19 points, is that the decisive blow? Collins House scoreboard 111 Essendon, North Melbourne 92. Well, not if North got anything to do with it. From out of the middle, Higgins won it from the restart. Ben Brown, 4th up. Front of the pack, Attlee. Was he grabbed without it? No. Matt D cleans up for Essendon. Gave to Hurley. Kicks around his body in contest on the wing. Barging through Mitch Brown of Essendon. Good handball to Langford, to the running Collier. Handball to Heppel, forward of the centre. Great knockdown that time then. Simpkin, I reckon, hurt himself there in the tackle, or was it Wright? One of the two. But they stopped Heppel going forward. And now Wright's turn. Sidesteps his man. He wants to go straight up the middle of the ground for North Melbourne. Ben Brown's got away. And he's taken the mark.
It's been a great matchup, Hooker v Brown, because Hooker's held him well and beaten him in some one-on-one situations. But Ben Brown going for goal number 3, and what would be a huge goal to keep his team to give them any chance of winning this one. He has worked so hard, Ben Brown, against a high-quality opponent.
You know his defensive side of the centre starting to run. Now one step he's forward of the centre line in the centre circle. He will kick from about 48 metres. Must goal. You'd back him in from here, from 50. Tense. He's tried to overkick that one, which is an absolute rarity, and Hurley's taken a magnificent defensive mark. You could just see that time Cammy just...
I reckon he's just a bit of fatigue on that.
Yeah, and tried for the extra distance. He missed. So It is a back pocket mark to the Bombers, who lead at the 13-minute mark final quarter by 19 points.
It's Hurley trying to clear. Brown trying to make amends, couldn't take it. Good work. McKernan hacked it forward. McMillan rounds it up, though, for North Melbourne. Back she goes to half forward, and Bill Chambers standing there as Ben Brown lost his footing.
He's a bit fatigued, I think, Benny Brown.
That fella gets to his feet. He's okay, but just tired, as you said, Richo.
Not surprised.
A little short one to Collier.
Sleep well tonight, every player on the ground.
Here's Goddard. Goddard, a high one. Now Jack Dorr has his name written all over it, and he takes the mark for North Melbourne. So the margin at the moment is 19. We're nearly 13 minutes. What have we got? 10 minutes left, just over 10 minutes left on the clock. So still lots of playing time left as Cunnington takes the mark down the line. Chips it to Atley. Atley looks up. He goes with the chip pass as well. Ahern takes it. Ahern wants to play on. He's going to go top of the goal square. Jamont!
Great kick.
It was a very clever kick. Just centred it nicely, and Jamont will go back and line up, and he's going to play on. He's going to go round the corner with a kick, and it's a goal. So Jamont kicks the goal to keep them in touch, North Melbourne, as the Kangaroos go to 15-8-98. Essendon 17-9-111 on the Collins House scoreboard.
They can't get closer than this, though, can they? They haven't been able to get within 2 goals. It's always been just over 2 goals.
It was well played by Ahern, first of all, to be selfless, but then to execute it well too. Had to be a good kick. Dumont did the right thing, didn't take too long over the shot, and we've got just under 10 minutes to go. But you're right, Richard, they need the next one just for their own belief they can get there.
Quickly, out of this centre bounce, and then she's really game on.
Bit of an upset brewing over in Perth, with Brisbane leading by 4 goals there for Europcar. Essendon win from the restart. Bell Chambers hammers at the half forward. Scotty Thompson, he's been tackled that time by Tip and Woody. Now, will he like the decision? He's got Tip and Woody's knee at his throat.
What do you think?
And he's just getting up there. And he might have barely conceded that one, but it was a great tackle from McDonald, Tip and Woody.
For me, this is to seal it.
Well, he is 40. He'll kick from about 48-49, McDonald, Tip and Woody. It's 111-98. Players are fatigued, and you're going to get fatigued when you play at this pace. This has been a ripping game from 51 metres. Doesn't try to overkick it. He's given it a ride. And the ball has somehow managed to stay alive as Marley Williams got a little handball away. Gee, under pressure, they're going to try and get out of out of defence, I should say, North Melbourne. But McMillan's kick charged down by Heppel, inspiring in this last quarter. The Essendon skipper, ball out of bounds, 20 around from Essendon's goal. Collins House scoreboard, collinshouse.com for your best financial or independent advice. Essendon 111, North Melbourne 98.
Ball back into play. McKernan takes it, handball to Heppel. Gives it away to Guelphy, who just has a flyer at goal and misses way out to the right-hand side and through for a point.
Go straight down the middle here, Matty.
I'm with you, and they might even try and construct it. They like to get Ben Cunnington the one down the middle. Try it again. No, they don't go it.
McMillan kicked to himself and darts away, runs his full quota, and then he kicks it out toward the wing. Jack Dorr jumps and takes the mark.
Just go long, Madge. Don't try and reinvent the wheel. He's been good at when it's in his area going for his marks today. He's clunked a few.
It's going to go the short one. A careful kick taken by McDonald. McDonald goes with the kick now, and he spots a man. That's Anderson. Getting there on the intercept was Dyson Heppel again. Zeeble couldn't take it cleanly. Picked up by Myers, confronted by Zeeble. Myers gets it back. Now to Sard. And now to Merritt. He just changes the angles up. Back to Heppel. Heppel now kicks it down the line. Mitch Brown the target, and he takes a ripper.
So Brown, this is the Essendon variety, has it on the wing. Time starting to get away from North Melbourne. 14-point lead by the Bombers. He goes deep into a pocket. Stringer, the only hope there, almost took it. Off hands, ball goes out of bounds.
That last kick in, I don't know why you don't go down the middle, because they came boundary and then they were always stuck boundary. Look, they've got to try and win the game.
17-10-1-12, the Bombers. North Melbourne 15-8-98. Essendon has it deep into attack. McKernan tap front of the pack. Merritt gets it out. Stringer at attacking 50. Back to McGrath. High kick. Basically kicked it straight up in the air. Doesn't go out of bounds. Tried to knock to the boundary line, Dumont. Spinning out of a pack of Hearn. Threw it onto the boot. Coming back in a moment. Man of the moment is Heppel. Couldn't complete the mark. Good enough to recover the ball. Attacking 50. Need pick up on the half volley. McKernan. Round the body. McDonald, Tip and Woody. Oh, great chance. Off the deck that time. And I reckon that was from Guelphy. Just instinctive. Didn't have the time to pick it up. And one behind results.
Brendan Goddard's positioned himself straight up the middle here, Richo, to protect that kick that you're talking about.
Collins House scoreboard, 19 gone final quarter, 113 Essendon, 98 North Melbourne.
Thompson brings it back in for the Kangaroos. Clark takes the mark, but he's out wide.
They've never even tried to set up for it, though, which I find strange now. And look where this has gone.
No, Clark's put it out in the full. The young man, tired young man Ryan Clark.
When do you throw the risk management out? When do you just go...
It's got to be now. It had to be the last minute or two.
Yep, going to win it. Here's Sard. He doesn't get on his bike that time. Just changes direction, gets back to Matt D. And he sends a high one inside the 50. Who's going to jump at that? McMillan was the only man contesting in the finish and took the mark.
You'd rather lose it by a goal or two more going for the win than being safe.
That's what I think,
There's still 6.5 minutes remaining.
Yeah, but you've got to kick 3 goals. It's getting desperate.
Margin 15. Higgins goes to the wing. Cunnington takes the mark for North Melbourne. Was there a couple of hands in there?
He's
Maybe.
sold that well, Cunners.
Cunnington can go out wide. Clark, North Melbourne, handball over the top to right. Hurried kick inside attacking 50. Rovat's in front and got it. The ball fell just that metre short. He's played on quickly. 15-metre pass. And Mason Wood is in fantastic position now for North Melbourne. 30 out on a slight angle. The margin is 15 points. There is 5:51 to go. And this in front of 45+ thousand from start to finish. A belter this game.
Is this a must-kick time?
No, not yet, no. Unlike you blokes, there's still 5.5 minutes to go. So he can spray. Well, what do you think?
Well, we had some question time.
So Wood comes in, keeps it low, and he has missed. Yes, go on. Oh. But it's going to be North Melbourne having to create something now. 113 Essendon, 99 North Melbourne. Collins House scoreboard. It might be coming Essendon's way. It certainly is. Take it away, Matty.
That's Fantasia just walking the tightrope. Coughed it up, though, the Bombers. They win it back, North Melbourne. Anderson to McDonald. Inside the 50, Ben Brown. He couldn't get to the front. Hurley edged in front and took the mark for the Bombers. Great defensive mark. Handball away to McKenna. He ran. Handball now gets it to Merritt. Poor handball to the feet that time of Brendan Goddard. At the tackle athlete, ball still up for grabs. Anderson in there, it comes out for the Bombers, suits McKenna, and he's going to go for a dash. He takes one bounce, he takes a second. He approaches the 50, wobbles one to McDonald, Tip and Woody. I'm not too sure whether he meant it. It was a floppy one off the boot. McDonald, Tip and Woody was Johnny on the spot and took the mark. 25 metres out directly in front.
At this stage of the game, you claim that. You say, I absolutely meant to kick that one to McDonald, Tip and Woody, but great run from McKenna through the middle of the ground, broke it open, and
that's
plenty of options.
They've had more run at half back, haven't they?
This is almost going to be the sealer for the Bombers. McDonald, Tip and Woody puts it through. And it's going to be tough for the Kangaroos now. The margin is 20 points in favour of Essendon as they move ahead on the Collins House scoreboard to 18-11, 119. North Melbourne 15-9, 99.
So that Mason Wood miss
could
have been 9 points the difference. Now it's 20.
And moments like that, if you're going to elevate yourself as a team, not to heap a lot of blame onto Mason Wood. If you're going to be a real finals team and potentially top 4 team, everything you want to achieve, those little moments have got to be taken. And Mason Wood, unfortunately, was the man who couldn't grab that moment. Essendon did it. Well done.
So much now got to go right for North Melbourne. Out of the middle, Merritt, a little tap. Simpkin arrived. His tackle brought to the ground. It's a 20-point lead to Essendon. 3 minutes 57 remains. And the permutations where it'll all finish at the end of this round are many. McGrath, a little floater up in the air. I didn't think it'd travel the distance. Heppel, heroic in this last quarter for the Bombers. Long toward half forward. McKernan edged out by Thompson. But now he has to go long. Will be decisive. Just take a risk because they trail by 20 points. Collins House scoreboard. Thompson keeps one low to the wing. Mason Wood can't get on the back of it. Goddard clean bowled, but he's still got a few metres up his sleeve. It should be a free to Goddard. North Melbourne opponent slid into his legs. Picked up that time by Higgins. Handball over the top, though, was taken by Smith. Smith goes back to McKenna on the wing. The handball is good. Merritt stays down. Good hands Goddard. Better hands Sard. He's tackled. Had to release the ball. Did so fairly. Ball at half forward. Essendon into attack. Coming through that time, McDonald tackled, lost it. Fantasia there as well, tackled, lost it. Barging through Merritt of Essendon. The pass is on, just overshot McKernan on the way through. Near enough out of bounds. Essendon deep into attack, high contact. North Melbourne free kick.
Got a switch.
Scott Thompson's got the ball, has a bounce, given a handball. North Melbourne at halfback.
Clark and now Goldstein got the handball back to Thompson, who drops it. McDonald comes to clean the mess up. He gathers and got the handball to the wing. Turner gets involved and now Higgins. He tries to angle the kick back inboard and Cunnington takes the mark. It was a clever kick. Got the handball on. From just on the 50, McDonald's going to go for goal. I think it's cleared the line. I think he's kicked it. Is there time enough though? So the margin 14 points now as McDonald kicks the goal for North Melbourne. 16-9-105 North Melbourne. Essendon 18-11-119 with 2 minutes 22 left, boys.
It's made it interesting, Matty, that's for sure. I don't think there is time, but we've seen some strange things over the last couple of weeks.
Melbourne nearly did it today at the MCG, 14 points down from about the same time. So, look, it's not impossible, but everything has to go right.
Straight out of this centre bounce, set up with maybe a Goldstein hit to Higgins on the bolt.
Mason Wood getting some work on some very tight hamstrings. 14 points is the lead. Essendon's way back in the middle of the ground. Hampel yet again won a ball, gave it to a running Collier. This is good for the Bombers. Pulled a little off the kick and they can burn a little time off. McKernan's got a 3 minutes and a half forward. They've been found. And Stringer has been barrelled into by Cunnington. I doubt whether it is malicious. I imagine it's a 50-metre penalty. And Stringer goes at Cunnington now.
Just kick the goal, Jakey. Yeah. You got the ball in your hands.
So this puts it beyond doubt. This puts it beyond question. And Scott Thompson with just a moment of defiance, just banging into a bloke for no particular reason, as Devon Smith's giving him a gobful.
I'd go at Torpy if I was Jake.
So,
big
and Stringer's just looking at that clock. Just go down and down. Still got 22 seconds. He's in no great hurry.
This is not a good look, though, is it?
Yes, it's a wonderful look.
For the game? Nah, it's not.
14 gone. He's letting the clock run down. Comes in and goals. 3 to Stringer. The entertainment has been fabulous here this afternoon. 19-11-125 the Bombers. North Melbourne 16-9-105. All for Collins House. Dominic Alafarci and the team at Collins House are your self-managed super fund experts.
It was a 50-metre penalty. There really wasn't that much in it. Jake Stringer carried on like a bit of a tool at the end there, but he's got the last laugh because he slotted through the goal that has just made an absolute certainty of it. And Essendon going to have a terrific win and win it by 20 points.
Yeah, that was the margins before half-time.
So we got just under 2 minutes left to play. Back in the middle, Cunnington was tackled. Then a whistle and some high contact advantage paid for North Melbourne. Goldstein's the last link in the chain. He fires at goal and misses out to the left-hand side and a minor score. Margin 19 now in favour of the Bombers.
Even then, that was great by Sard. He sprinted at Goldstein and that made him miss. Just that little bit of pressure from Sard. Well done.
Hurley prepares to bring it back into play for Essendon. Short to Hooker.
Tone, I've never seen you wobble like this. This is not you, mate. This is not you, Tone.
Hooker to Bell-Chambers, who couldn't complete the mark. Goldstein. Anderson, McMillan. Inside the 50. Low ball, and Ben Brown didn't quite take it. It pitched, so he snaps it over his shoulder. That's a fair effort. Hits the woodwork. It was a really good effort, though, by Ben Brown. And a minor score in the margin is...
Tone's just kicking back, basking in the glory of...
You've sort of reclined your seat back, Tone.
125 to 107 in favour of the Bombers.
So, long kick into half back. Essendon Higgins got one high, knocked forward by Fantasia. Excellent to Myers. Little handball to Devon Smith on the wing, dockside. Up the ground they go again. McKernan's got it. They all just go short. Try and find a man running forward. Fantasia. Ball eluded him on the way through Murphy, though. North Melbourne picks it up. Got it off to right to the wing. Ben Brown will take the mark there. 33 seconds remaining. Essendon 18 points in front. What a fabulous game of football. What a deserving win. Both sides have really restored everyone's faith in football this afternoon. As Wright went to Tarrant. Tarrant can go out wide. Turner can go wider still to DeMont. He'll play on quickly from 45, have a long shot. Should be cut off. It is by Hurley with 10 seconds remaining. Fantastic win, and Essendon's remote chances of making the finals, and when the ladder settles, everyone will be getting the calculators out. This is a tremendous finish now, coming for the last third of the season. Hurley goes long on the kick in. Bell Chambers tries to stay down there. Taken by Ben Brown. Handball met by Fantasia. Myers got it to Goddard. Fantastic win, Essendon. Fantastic game of football.
See the Bombers fly up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly up.
35 fabulous goals kicked for the afternoon in front of 45,500. Essendon 19-11, 125. North Melbourne 16-12, 108. Where do we start? Fantasia 4, 3 to Stringer, 4 to McKernan, couple of David Myers, McGrath, Bell Chambers, Devon Smith, Zach Merritt, Mark Bagley with 1, and Anthony McDonald, Tip and Woody with 1. 3 to Mason Wood, but a vital miss. Couple of Luke McDonald and Ben Cunnington, but the Bombers have won.
Up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this grand old game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fly up. The other teams they don't fear. They all try their best, but they can't get near as the Bombers fly on.
That's a wonderful way to spend a Sunday afternoon. It was fabulous stuff. Final quarter brought to you by Collins House, your self-managed super fund experts. collinshouse.com. 9-11, 125 the Bombers. North Melbourne 16-12, 108. Early today, St Kilda by 2 points over Melbourne. And there's an upset brewing in Perth as Brisbane leads the Dockers by 24 points. And last report, it was Nathan Fyfe with some discomfort with his hamstring. So that's at halftime, 48-24 over there. Shane McGuinness on the Sunday wrap will keep everyone up to date. We've been screaming for these great games. Much has been said about the style of football, but surely this round has said that, yeah, they might require, in all seriousness, a tiny tinker here or there. But no committees, no reports. It worked itself out.
It did, and it does. And 3 games this round, Tone, where both teams have scored 100-plus points. So that's in this round. Only 2 games in the first 14 rounds combined had that situation where both teams scored 100-plus points. So this round has been absolutely fantastic. Loved it, enjoyable. It was fast-paced. It was physical at times, certainly skillful. Some great goals were kicked, and Richo Essendon, just in the end, their ball movement was so dynamic. Their work going forward was dangerous, and they capitalised. Once they fixed up the contested area, they capitalised on some great midfield work from the likes of Heppel and Zach Merritt. These types of players. They were brilliant through there.
Yeah, and they just looked more dangerous in that fast footy mode than what North Melbourne did. And a lot of that came from their half-back line. You know, every time Sard or McKenna got it, they didn't want to just have one touch. They wanted to follow up and give the option. And that fast footy mode, I don't think it suited North Melbourne quite as much. North slowed it down a little bit after half-time. There was fatigue, obviously, but North had the break that Tone pointed out just before half-time. Sorry, Essendon had the break. And North just couldn't overcome that after half-time. And it was a really good win by the Essendon Footy Club.
Because they got it wrong at the start of the game. They had the midfield matchups very wrong. Sean Higgins was running a mark. Ben Cunnington was doing what he liked, and felt like their planning had just been off. And credit to the coaches and the players. They adjusted. They fixed it up, got better matchups. Cunnington and Higgins' influence dropped off after that first quarter, and then they just got on top in most of the areas. And despite the fact that North Melbourne threw a bit at them and the game was still alive, they pretty well had it, the Bombers, for pretty much the last three quarters.
I reckon even from about the 20-minute mark of the first quarter, they were by far the better team, looked more dangerous, moved the ball better, had a few more options in attack. Ben Brown was the main target, obviously, every time they went in there, whereas you had multiple targets in that Essendon forward line. Fantasia, Stringer, obviously kicking multiple goals.
Matty, could you be so kind, please? I've got Matty Granlin for Tim Lane today, and what a fantastic caller he is too. That is a reputation well earned and well established, mate. But could you be so kind just to give us the 1st to 12th with points, and if there's a significant percentage differential, because Richmond, they're in front, and Eagles pretty safe, and Sydney pretty safe. But I reckon from about 4th to 12th, there's only about 6 points in. Have I got that right? Yeah, well, there's some teams that'll be pretty happy with this result today. And the teams I talk about is Melbourne on 32 points, should have won today. Geelong on 32 points, and Hawthorn on 32 points. North Melbourne also sit on 32 points. So those teams are very happy, Lingy and Richo, with those results.
A couple of teams stumbling. Melbourne's lost their last 3. Geelong have lost their last 2 and head to Sydney on Thursday night. And that's giving teams like the Adelaide Crows, who won and had a good win against West Coast, that they now think, hey, we've got our nucleus of our good team back. Sloane's back in. We've had a win. They've got to come and play Richmond. That's a huge Friday night footy game. Essendon have won 4 out of their last 5. So there's some teams stumbling inside the 8, and there's some teams outside the 8 that would give themselves a tiny sniff now. The percentage is an issue for Essendon.
Yeah, that's a big one.
They've won 7. They'd need to win 6 of their last 8. But their percentage is poor, so they might even have to win 7.
95.2, and Geelong in 8th spot, 123, so well off in the percentage.
So they need an extra game if they're to make it. So they've got no margin for error at all, Essendon.
Before we get down to Mick Warner, was there the turning point? North Melbourne ran to a 20-point lead. So midway first quarter, and we thought, they're doing chasing.
You know what it was? Efficiency inside 50. When they weren't playing well, they went in 7 times and scored 4 goals. So when they weren't playing well, they managed to stay in touch on the scoreboard, and then they got their game going, and they were still in it on the scoreboard, and they took over.
Essendon 19-11-125, defeating North Melbourne 16-12-108. Mick Warner, some very happy, very tired Bombers should be in your gaze very shortly.
Dyson Heppel just leading them through. Hard to believe 5 or 6 weeks ago, Essendon was in a full-blown crisis mode, or so we were told. That's now 3 on the trot, and as you've said, just one game out of the 8. They've squared the ledger at 7 wins, 7 losses. Massive game against Collingwood next Sunday, which we'll do on 3AW footy. Then the Suns the week after that. So they're in good touch. And Zaharakis and Danaher to come back. Here's the song.
The Bombers fire up to win the premiership flag. Our boys who play this mental game are always striving for glory and fame. See the Bombers fire up. We are the teams that are fitting. They were some of the best, but they can't give it as the Bombers fire.
There we go, boys. Some pretty tired plays in that song, as you'd expect. The highest scoring first half in a decade. We'll grab a player and come back in a few moments.
Excellent stuff. Thank you, Mick Warner. 96900 693 13 32. If you at Eddie Haddon stuck in the traffic in and around the precinct, listening to us on 3AW Football, and you've got a thought, 96900 693 about what both sides brought to the table today, and it was wonderful.
I've got a question for the boys. So this game is going to be used as the argument of the other side, right? What about that game between Essendon and North Melbourne? How did the coaches and the players orchestrate a game like that? How do you make that happen more often?
Well, I think the players also work it out too. Their skills were so high today. There was still physical contest, and there was some congestion, but then they were so crisp and clean as they moved it out of there. And this isn't the only game that I'd be hanging my hat on for this round about being positive. I've liked all the sorts of footy that we've had this round. Thursday night, was an arm wrestle at times, but gee, it was riveting. I mean, it's been great football.
And to be honest, that's what you're going to get in September. You're not going to get that in September.
Well, Cameron and Matthew, one of the best afield, who we had on a few weeks ago, and we've seen Zach Merritt, who was sat on early this year, work his way through it, and he is in the same sort of dynamic form as he was about this time last year, standing alongside you there, Mick.
He is, Tone. Well, Zach, that was one hell of a game and a great win.
Yeah, it was. It was probably not the way that we ideally wanted to play and win, but a win's a win, and they're a quality team this year, and they've played some really good footy, so to get the win in the end was a super effort by the boys.
A lot of talk about a crisis, etc., but that's 3 wins in a row. How have you been able to slowly turn your year around?
Yeah, it's amazing. You look back probably 6 weeks ago and everyone was pretty flat, and I guess searching for answers internally and externally, and to switch it around 6 weeks forward, I think 5 out of 6 now is obviously a big switch around, but ultimately we want to just keep playing the way we want to play, and hopefully that's going to hold up in September.
Zach, Matthew Richardson speaking. You probably went to bed last night thinking you're a fair chance of getting Ben Jacobs. He was selected to play, so you probably have to prepare for that. You would have been reasonably happy when he didn't come and bump into you at the first bounce.
Yeah, it's interesting, Mitch. I mean, as a young player, you sort of look forward to those challenges. You don't get those challenges many weeks, so to get to line up against the best tagger in the game would have been a great challenge for me and something to learn off. So either way, I wasn't too fast. It would have been probably a bit more of a learning experience if he did play, but ultimately I'm not going to complain if he doesn't play.
Zach, well done today. I mean, as a game, as a spectacle, we absolutely loved it. The ball was flying, the scores were big, everything like that. Did it feel like that out there, that, gee, this is a quick game, this ball was going everywhere?
Yeah, I think a few of our GPSs will be blown up when we look at the stats on Monday, but I guess it was exciting for us out there and for the fans to be seeing a lot of goals kicked. I think that's the way we want to see footy played, not only for the fans but for us as well. It's pretty exciting to watch Wallace and kind of run off half back and excite us as players, but obviously excite the fans as well.
Matty Granlund just posed a question to me, why did it happen, that sort of game? I didn't have a great answer other than I felt the players were just incredibly skillful today. Your hands in close, the ball movement was first class. Was it anything you guys did, coaches did, that made the game so open and high scoring?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it sometimes just pans out a bit that way. I think centre clearances were probably a bit too clean both sides and gave their forwards pretty good looks, and as you said, I think it was pretty skillful under the roof, so they ought to cut each other up, and we were certainly talking about trying to slow the ball down and trying to not let them get so open, but for some reason we both couldn't do that.
You had multiple options up forward today. It was great to see Jake Stringer get involved. He kicked 3. You had 4 from McKernan, 4 from Orazio. You had a lot of different looks down there today.
Yeah, I think you sort of look at the really quality teams at the moment, Collingwood and Richmond, and they have a lot of scoring avenues and guys that go forward and switch through the midfield as well and able to hit the scoreboard. So we're certainly trying to learn off that as well, and today it obviously worked pretty well.
Zach, Richo asked you the question about potentially Ben Jacobs playing on you today, but throughout the season you have had to deal with taggers, which is probably new to your game. I know you work pretty closely with James Kelly, one of your assistant coaches. Is that something you've really locked into, focus with your preparation and training, how you deal with that attention and beating taggers?
Yeah, absolutely. I've worked really closely with James and obviously Hayden Skipworth as mid-coaches, but I've certainly put a lot of time into it in the pre-season and continue to work on. I know it's not something that's going to flick a switch and I'm just miraculously like Gary Ablin can break a tag every week, so I'm just continuing to work as hard as I can and try and learn as much as I can as quickly as possible to be able to help the team influence on a positive note consistently.
It's a tight race for the final 8. You're still in the running now. You're up to 28 points, 1 game outside the 8. Percentage needs a little bit of work. Surely you give yourselves a chance now. You've got momentum and playing some good footy.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, probably for 5 weeks we're probably out of the race and we're just playing footy pretty freely. And so I looked at the ladder this week and realised we're only 2 games out. So I guess we'll keep playing with that freedom. And at the end of the year we'll see where we stand up against the other teams. And as you said, it's very close at the moment.
And we're a little bit excited, I'll be honest, Zach, because next Sunday we get to be back here on 3AW. Essendon versus Collingwood. Huge game. I mean, they're always big, those games, but given Collingwood are going very nicely at the moment, second on the ladder, and you guys are on a fantastic run, that'll be a monster.
Yeah, gee, I haven't even thought that far ahead yet, mate, to be honest. But yeah, as you said, they're having a super run at the moment. They touched us up at the start of the year at Anzac Day and played some really solid footy, and I think they've built on that. So we'll review this game and take obviously some learnings out of this first before we look forward to Collingwood next Sunday.
Thanks for joining us. Hey, Zach, just a quick one. Was the Merritt household far from the Cunnington household in Cobden?
Yeah, it was a while away, but I remember going and watching Man kick 10 on debut for seniors at Cobden when I was probably 12 or 13. So it's funny to match up with him on Etihad today.
Yeah, did you ever kick to kick, or was he just that little bit older than you and, basically a little kid like you had no business with a superstar junior like him?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was in awe of Ben, obviously, growing up, and to see him go through the way he has, and I think he's already played 180 senior games, so he's having a super big career, and it's been super to watch.
Has he ever taken you fishing? Or is it you or Jackson who's the one that likes the fishing?
Yeah, Jackson's a fisherman, but I'll happily eat what he catches.
And Zach, another Cobden boy, though he's been in Geelong lately, might be the number 1 draft pick this year, young Sam Walsh.
Yeah, I've got a bit to do with Sam when we were a bit younger, and I know his dad really well, so I've obviously followed the way he's been going, and he's been going super so fast. Hopefully he can somehow slip through to us in the teens.
Hey, did Ben Cunnington give you his autograph when you were a young fella, Zach?
I think I probably got it somewhere at Nana's house. Yeah.
Well done. It gets more exciting, but to not only the Essendon team and you individually, but North Melbourne as well. You put on a ripper for all the fans, 45,500 from the get-go. Thanks for the entertainment.
Thanks, boys.
It was wonderful today. Zach Merritt too. 1911 125 Essendon, 1612 108 North Melbourne. Anne joins us. Hello, Anne.
Hello. Thank you very much for such a wonderful game.
Thank you.
Essendon and North Melbourne and all you commentators. I actually backed Essendon a long time ago for the flag, and I backed Collingwood too. I got double the odds for Collingwood. I think the biggest dangers are Richmond and the Crows.
Well,
but that's just my humble opinion. Good luck.
It's never a humble opinion on 3RW. I reckon people start looking at the ladder and say, okay, who everyone's got for the next 8 weeks and where they lob, and more than ever, Richmond must be just sitting back thinking to themselves, heavens above, Mick Warner, I can't believe that so many favours have been done for the Richmond Footy Club this round, because they are perfectly set up now for a top 2 finish. So back to you, Mick, if you'd be so kind. Injury report for Morris Blackburn lawyers championing the rights of everyday Australians.
Well, the Bombers have just gone for their address with the coach and a clean slate, no injuries. Great news for them. All the concern over in the North Melbourne camp with Mason Wood late in the game with it looks like a hamstring issue, so that'll be assessed during the week. Ben Jacobs, the concern before the game, he's missed another week with lingering concussion issues, they're telling us. So that with all the fiasco with Carlton during the week getting a fine for playing Cam Paulson and the federal court stoush that's looming, they're playing it very cautiously as you'd expect, but they need him back, their star tagger. And Ben Cunnington, as we suggested during the game, had a dislocated finger, but that's really a mozzie bite for him. He played out the game, he was fine. Crowd of 45,580 saw an absolute classic.
Thank you very much, Mick. Thanks for your help. We'll talk next week. So only a couple of things to go. Just some further thoughts. We really haven't broken the game down. We'll get to Shane and the Sunday wrap very, very shortly. But, can they?
Do you
think they will?
Richo's right. They cannot stumble.
If they beat Collingwood next week, they're a chance. But I think that is crucial.
I tell you what, there is something when you see a big crowd like this turn up to a Bombers game and they get on a roll, and Richmond and Collingwood top 2 spots, those huge, big, drawing, powerful Melbourne clubs, a little bit of just a rumble starts of excitement, and
it's great for the whole comp.
Yeah, it is. It gets things going a little bit. So momentum's a funny thing, Tone. They could get on a real roll now, and they could get there.
They've won 3 in a row. They have to win at least 6 of 8. So that would mean they've won 9 of 11 to come into the finals. So they'd be in good nick if they made it, but they've left it hard. They've made it hard for themselves.
There always is a hard luck story for sides that don't make the 8. There might be 3 hard luck stories this year.
Well, Melbourne was last year, and there might be a team like that this year.
And as insignificant as it might have seemed at the time and more an aberration, me and GWS are happy that that siren went before. Was it Membry who had the kick here?
Yeah, against the Saints.
Against the Saints, they get the 2 points.
Yep.
All of a sudden, that does take on rather significant proportions, does it not?
It certainly does. It's going to be tight, and the team we watched today, North Melbourne, as brilliant as they've been, with everyone tipping them to finish down the bottom of the ladder.
Yep.
Who knows? They could be, unfortunately, the hard luck story as well.
Well, we've been going down. Sorry, Tom. We've been going down positive street today about the state of the game. 43,044 here on Thursday night. 45 today. We're looking at the ladder. We're talking about a team 12 making the finals at round 15. It's a fascinating race. It's a pretty good competition. It's a pretty good game.
There is another story, and it is a massive one unfolding out in Perth, and Shane McGinnis will keep everyone up to date with it. At the moment, we are 7 minutes into the third quarter for Europe car going around the grounds. Brisbane 10-6-66, Fremantle 3-7-25. I'll just repeat that. 66 Brisbane, 25 Fremantle, 41 points the margin.
5 hamstring.
5 hamstring.
I reckon it's a pretty good even competition tone when you've got Brisbane having to travel over there and are doing that. I think there's a lot of talent in this comp.
There's more to like than there is to dislike.
Absolutely.
Well, boys, what are you going home for dinner tonight? Getting something nice and happy to, like a Bogan burger up at the Napier?
I'm batching tonight, Tone.
Yeah?
I'm on my own.
2-minute noodles.
Yeah.
I reckon you might be a counter meal at the pub.
I think the rubbity dub might be in on it, Matty.
Good stuff, Matthew. Well, that then leaves the final thing to do here. St Kilda winning by 2 points earlier today. Essendon 125 to 108, 17-point margin over North Melbourne, and a massive upset looking likely over in Perth at the moment. Brisbane 41 points in front, early stages in the third quarter. So the final votes for Rain and Horn, and it was great to have everyone from Rain and Horn in today. Rain with an E, Horn with an E, residential, commercial, business sales. You've seen all their agencies right across Australia. They award $500 each week for the person who correctly nominates the player of the round, as judged by Dwayne Russell. That's on a Friday night. So $500 every week and a $5,000 listener prize at the end of the season. Just go to 3rw.com.au, register your interest. You're in for the $5,000 and vote each week. Take about a minute and a half, and courtesy of Rain and Horn and all the team there, they'd be happy to award on grand final day a lovely listener prize of $5,000. So we get to the votes. We vote 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And who's got the honours today?
I do, Tone. 1 vote. I'll start there with Sean McKernan. Kicked 4 goals, incredible goals. I don't think I've seen him play a game like that where he's kicking snaps over his shoulder, he's slotting them from the boundary. He was absolutely fantastic. 2 votes to North Melbourne's best player. Even though they held him a little bit through the middle couple of quarters, Sean Higgins still ended up with 31 disposals, 7 inside 50s, 5 clearances, and was the one who was going to get them back and possibly get them a win if anyone was going to. So Higgins gets the 2 votes. 3 votes to the razzle-dazzle, Orazio Fantasia. 17 touches, kicked 4 goals and lit things up a bit when he was up and going. 4 votes to the skipper, Dyson Heppel. Just an consistent, high-quality game. 34 disposals, 12 of those contested, 5 clearances, 10 inside 50s. That is brilliant work by Dyson Heppel. And that leaves the 5 votes for the man that we just spoke to, Zach Merritt. 32 touches, 16 contested, 12 clearances and a goal. That is a monster game as a midfielder. And before you give me a nasty look, Tone,
about Andrew McGrath.
Andrew McGrath was an honourable mention just outside the votes. But I think those guys were the 5 best for the Rain and Horn.
Excellent work. Yes, go on.
I'd like to give you a vote, an honorary vote.
Yeah, I called it.
For the early crow that you went.
Oh, well, it wasn't crow. I didn't say they were absolute morals.
Well, you did.
I said, yes, I did. Yes, I did. Late
so
in the
well
second.
done. You're a good judge, Tone.
No, what's that thing from Caddyshack? Even the blind squirrel catches and finds an acorn or something like that. Yeah. I was absolutely due. To young Luca, great to have you back at 3RW. Luca Ganano and Simon and the team back behind the scenes in the 3RW studio. Been a fantastic round of football to be involved in. Of course, you, the listeners, thank you for listening in and affirming, at least to us, you do like us and will continue to listen. Final scores here: Essendon 19-11, 125. North Melbourne 16-12, 108.